Do you remember the first word you spoke or learned? What is it? Today, I will tell you about The Story of My Life by Helen Keller. Helen Keller is a deaf-blind girl who is only beginning to learn that there is a word for everything. Let's find out what is the first word that she learns. The Story of My Life by Helen Keller. Everything has a name. This was one of the first important things I learned in life. Before that, everything was like darkness to me. I only knew that things existed. Once I finally touched them. If I did not touch them, they simply did not exist. I could feel them, but I did not know how to say that I felt them. All this magically changed when Anne Mansfield Sullivan came. I met her on March 3, 1887. I was 6 years old. On that eventful day, I unconsciously went out in the sun and stood in the warmth of the afternoon. I did not know exactly what was going to happen, but I felt as if I was searching for light. The next moment, I reached out my hand, like the way I would reach out to my mother. When Miss Sullivan took it, it seemed like the bitterness inside me disappeared. It was as if I was not lost anymore. The following morning, Miss Sullivan gave me a doll. I enthusiastically played with it for a while and was fascinated by its newness. When I finished, she took my hand. On its palm, she carefully traced the word doll. She did it a few times more before she made me imitate it. It was an interesting experience for me, as though it was a game that we could play. When I finally got it right, I could feel a delightful smile cross my face. I was extremely happy, although I was not yet aware that she was teaching me to spell. We spent the next days in the same manner. I learned new words and was eager to learn more. But not all of them went smoothly. On one particular day, I had great difficulty telling mug and water apart because the water was in the mug. I thought that they were the same thing. Miss Sullivan tried hard to tell me the difference between them, but it was frustrating for a child like me. In my despair, I threw the doll she gave me. It fell on the floor and shattered to pieces. Instead of responding to my anger, she led me out of the house. I was comforted by this because I loved the touch of the warm sunshine on my face. Soon, we were walking farther toward the well house. There, I could hear the uninterrupted flow of water nearby. Once more, Miss Sullivan took one of my hands. Only this time, she dipped it in the water. I immediately felt cool current on my skin. I smiled because I enjoyed the sensation. After a while, she took my other hand. On my palm, she drew the word water again and again. Suddenly, I could understand. I instantly knew what water was. It was the amazing thing that was streaming through my hand. When we came back inside the house, I realized that everything had a name. All the things I touched had names and meanings. I knew it because Miss Sullivan was there to show me. And when I remembered my misconduct earlier, I was suddenly crying. I knew that there were names to describe what I felt. Repentance and sorrow. Gradually, I learned how to put words together. Most of these things grew beautifully, and I was happy to understand them. Each time I went to bed, I would relentlessly wait for the morning to come. Each new day meant new words to learn. From then on, I gained the key to language. Unlike normal children, a blind and deaf child like me has to go through a difficult process to be able to communicate. But it did not matter to me because I knew I would succeed. Miss Sullivan and I worked continuously. From single words, we went further and further until she was teaching me sentences, then paragraphs, and then finally, entire books. We were able to beat the immeasurable difficulties that came our way. The Story of My Life by Helen Keller.